Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. So we have a new mower.
Yeah, I want to mention here at the start that I messed up and deleted last episode. So on my channel, episode 31 does not exist, and we're on.
And it was the best episode.
The best. You have to go to
recorded.
Jeff's channel and watch it because
you have to go there.
It was great. There was love. There was war.
Yeah, there was like people winning millions of dollars for watching it or something.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know much about it. You have to go see it yourself.
Right. Have to go.
I honestly have no idea what we talked about.
We talked about the. I'm kind of sad about it too because we talked about the Twitch party and that girl going disappearing.
Oh, that's right. We did talk about that stuff.
We had the weird audio thing that happened because we started using Discord and everything went all fucky. You had to stop in the middle. In fact, there's parts that no one will ever hear because you had to stop in the middle of the recording.
Oh, that's true. I thought people were actually going to bounce between the two views as well, because you said I was roboty on your end and you were roboty on my end.
Yep.
And now they'll never even hear your side of the story.
Right. But we also bought a potato harvester and planter and all that stuff last time, and that foot up there is potatoes now.
That's right. If you're watching on Guude's channel, you didn't know that we bought all that stuff, because that was in the last episode.
And I guess we also switched this field to all grass. All grass all the time.
That was like the most things that have happened in an episode.
Right. Losing that episode was probably the worst thing, worst one to lose. Because we did do a lot.
That is.
And now it's foggy as hell. It's like we've been smoking this place out or something.
So the plan is, I'm going to let this guy finish his first run. So Guude bought a different mower because apparently the workers were unable to utilize the big left swing mower on this field.
I wish I had saved it just so you could see what the hell they did. Like it made them go crazy. Like they would try to fix it and get it in a straight line, and they would just eventually just give up completely and leave.
That's funny. This is a way cheaper mower too, isn't it?
I think the one we had before was the cheapest. But then I bought the most expensive mower. That's two of those mowers side by side, but they're not exactly side by side. There's a big strip in between, and so I sold that. These are things that no one's ever going to see because it just happened off camera. Sold that one and bought this one so that a worker can do the mowing without it getting all weird, basically. Which it seems that growing grass in this game is the biggest cash crop that there is. I feel like that's not true to life. I don't feel like... You know, one thing I was thinking the other day as I passed by fields and fields of crop in real life is that this game doesn't have tobacco. You think it's too controversial?
Oh, that's a good question. Or maybe the environment around here is not good for tobacco.
Well, see, I thought about that. I did think, because it seems like we're kind of in the mountainous region, which is more up north. But I wondered, there's other maps too. Isn't there some? There's probably.
Is there a tobacco map? I wonder if there's a tobacco mod. We could make a tobacco mod. Just do tobacco and weed.
And weed? Is that what you said?
Yeah. I mean, why not? Those are two of the big controversial things that you would grow, right?
Right.
I do find it kind of funny that tobacco has this huge negative stigma associated with it because of, the health risks associated. But then there's this other whole band of people who are all about legalization of marijuana, which means you'd have to have fields to grow marijuana, which is still like ingesting the stuff into your lungs.
Yeah, but
for the most part.
I mean, I guess in the states where it is legal, a lot of the ways you ingest it just is through edibles. It's not. I mean, there's no edible tobacco consumption. I guess unless you count like dip or something.
If you count just eating tobacco.
yeah, just eating. Eating tobacco.
But do you think medical marijuana, is it sold? Can you prescribed in a edible sense?
I mean, the doctor doesn't specify. They basically tell you how many grams or how much THC you should consume. Basically,
I always thought when I saw people who had medical marijuana prescriptions when they got them, they came in the long pill bottles of already rolled joints.
No, I mean maybe back in the day, whenever the government before it was more open and more regulated, maybe so. But now, whenever you go anywhere and buy it at a dispensary, you can choose what you're getting. You know, you don't bring your prescription in and they go, all right,
joint,
right,
brownies,
right, candy. Which I still feel like this stuff needs better regulation because, you know, like the tobacco industry, like even like candy cigarettes are I think they're no longer allowed to be made. But like, you know, Camel got regulated because it was promoted towards kids. But you go to a dispensary and like there's, you know, Fruit Loops and all this other shit that's made with THC oil.
Well, that's my point. Is, you know, marijuana has tobacco has a big stigma for a good reason because it's like very bad for you. Like, you know, it's been proven many, many times over that, you know, smoking cigarettes is negative health risk. So I get that. I just find it really funny that it's, you know, why is it associated with such negative things when weed, and I get the argument about, oh, you know, a lot of people compare weed to alcohol and whether it's like, does it impair your driving, this, that, the other, and how it's just, you know, it doesn't do anything. There's nothing negative about it. Or the other people who say, oh, it makes you like not have motivation and not want to get with life. I get that there's both sides of that camp. But just from the general concept of the smoking of marijuana to the smoking of cigarettes. And yes, cigarettes have toxins and things like that in them. But nobody ever talks about the health risk of your lungs when it comes to smoking marijuana.
I disagree. I mean, I've read a lot of articles where they do talk about that. And I think in a medical sense, it's recommended that if you're going to smoke it, you don't. You know, if you're going to consume marijuana, that you do it in you get your THC in a form that's not necessarily smoking it, because there are health risks to any time you inhale smoke. But what you just hit a good point too with that. There's a lot more harmful things in cigarettes as far as what you're putting in your lungs than there is in like a marijuana joint or however you're going to consume it. So, yeah. But you know, a lot of those like e-cig, like they make oils like THC oil as well that can be consumed, the same as, you know, this like the what the fuck are they called? E-cigs? That's the right word, right?
E-cigs, yeah.
So there's that
vape pen, e-cig, whatever you want to call it. I'm a former smoker, and I have now switched over to the e-cig so that I don't smoke anymore. So I'm not talking from a standpoint of, a lot of people talk very negatively about people who smoke, and this is what I find so funny, especially in DC, because we just legalized marijuana last year during the election. Mm-hmm. Most of the people who are on the camp of legalizing marijuana are completely on the camp of how cigarettes should be outlawed. And it really confuses the hell out of me because I see such similarities between the two. And especially as a former smoker, I do know that there was a stigma associated with it. Back when I started smoking, there wasn't nearly the stigma. You could still smoke in all the bars. It was almost like abnormal if you weren't at a bar and smoking a cigarette. Mm-hmm. Whereas now it's a completely different world. And, you know, that's only been in the last 5 to 7 years where pretty much all bars are non-smoking bars. You can't smoke indoors in most states anymore.
Right.
And the friends that you have that you're at the bar that have to step outside and go smoke, which I did for a while because I was still a smoker at that time when they changed this. It was, you used to meet all these cool people outside smoking, but that number has dwindled so much because people have been quitting, which is good. I'm not against people quitting. I'm a quitter myself, quote unquote. The whole concept around why marijuana good, cigarettes bad, is where I really
I think that
don't understand I don't understand it.
I mean, there's health benefits to smoking marijuana, and there's no benefit to smoking cigarettes. Like, can you give me a benefit?
So it's kind of funny because if you talk to smokers, they'll tell you that it calms them down when they're stressed out, which is completely the opposite effect that cigarettes physiologically have on the body.
Right, I was about to say, that's not actually what happens, though.
But it feels that way. Okay. But I think what that actually is you're actually hitting those nicotine receptors that your body is now expecting to get filled with nicotine. Uh-huh. So it's one of those, yes, it might increase your heart rate, and it might increase your blood pressure and do all this negative things, but if you have these nicotine receptors that are expecting nicotine, which is like what addiction is, like you have nicotine receptors or receptors in your brain that can take nicotine in and spit out dopamine and all that stuff, like to give you that euphoric sense, essentially is what it does. It's the pleasure center. And as you smoke, your body starts to get overcome with the filling of these receptors, so it makes more, so that it can fill more. But the problem is when you don't have any, it wants more because it built more because it was used to having more.
Right.
So it's like a whole balance system.
Well, I guess.
And
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, if you fill it up when it's craving it, it is going to theoretically calm you, quote unquote, calm you down. Your body's coming back into equilibrium that it's built itself up for.
Right. I guess one way to compare it would to be someone that's never smoked pot or tobacco. The effects they have upon consumption for the first time. And I think the first time you smoke a cigarette, you're not going to be calmed down by doing it. Versus the first time you smoke a joint, you might experience some paranoia that may not calm you down. Depends on how, I guess,
depends on how you take it.
Right. But I think it's more likely that you're going to enjoy yourself and be calmed down and all those things the first time. Hey, look, we're twins.
What? I was going to say, wait, what the hell just happened?
I bought the tractor like we said we were going to do.
Oh, I didn't know you actually bought it. I was like, I just tapped into a blue tractor, and I'm like, Guude's driving by in a blue tractor. What the fuck is happening right now? Am I smoking marijuana? I don't understand. The Matrix? So this isn't even the cheapest tractor, or did you just color it?
This is not the cheapest tractor, but price-wise, I looked at like the horsepower and stuff, and I figured if we're going to buy another tractor, we should get one that we know can handle all the stuff we want to do with it.
All right, no, that makes sense.
All right, where the fuck is the tippy topper at?
The tippy? Oh, it's running already.
Oh, okay, you're topping them over here.
Yeah, I didn't actually know what I was doing, and I was like, it looks like this is the next phase of this.
All right.
So I got that guy running. I'm gonna power wash this tractor because it's
dirty.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
It's so damn foggy, man.
But you were talking about the first time smoking weed versus.
Yeah, I think you're gonna. I think that you're gonna have that calming effect versus the first time you smoke a cigarette. You're not. You're probably gonna get nauseous more than anything. At least that was my experience first time I ever smoked a cigarette.
Wait, but you think the first time you smoked weed you got a calming effect?
Oh, dude, it was the best experience of my life.
Oh, so I'm not a like I'll admit I was a heavy smoker for a long time. I was a heavy drinker for a long time. I still drink more than the average person actually should drink. There's no question about that. So, I'm one of those, like, not suggestible, but, there's things that I do that are very bad, especially being somebody in the health profession. I smoked weed very, very few times. I have smoked it twice in my life. And I'm not against anybody who smokes weed, like whatever, people can do with what they want to do. It's not one of those things. It was just never something I got into. But the 2 times that I smoked it were not calming experiences.
Were you just like really paranoid and anxious?
I never really got paranoid. I just got really like hyper and oh my god, something's different and something's crazy and I'm like this weird different person right now, type of deal. Not really that I was a different person, like I knew who I was and all. It was just it was not a calming experience by any stretch of the imagination. Right. So you're wrapping those bales, right?
Yep, I'm wrapping them bales.
Well, I guess I can take this tractor. If you got a bigger one, I can get this guy cut in the other field.
I guess we need to get the cultivator over there on the wheat too.
Oh yeah, that's a cultivator, not a. Where is the cultivator? I'm tabbing to it. I know we said we were going to do that. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot it's across the street.
Yeah, the very first time I smoked pot. So whenever my dad had cancer, the doctor had actually told him to smoke pot. Well, they had prescribed something called Marinol that's supposed to help his appetite, but it didn't really work. And so the doctor said, "Well, just smoke pot if you can get it. It'll help your appetite." And he had shakes really bad, so he couldn't actually roll his own joints, and so he asked me to do it. And so I stole a couple of them.
I was gonna say, was it one for you, one for me type?
Yeah, it wasn't quite that ratio, but yeah, I did take a couple for myself. It's like, well, what's this all about? So I smoked it with my cousin for the very first time, and we basically laid on his trampoline, looking at the ground, mesmerized for like 2 hours after that. Just looking through like the mesh of the trampoline, like, whoa, like he'd push it down and the ground would come back and forth at you, and like that's basically how I spent my afternoon that day. laying on a trampoline, just enjoying the way it looks through the mesh. The second time I smoked pot.
See, that more makes it sound like a hallucinogenic, which
Well,
it
is a hallucinogenic. It is classified as a hallucinogenic.
Weed's classified as a hallucinogenic.
It sure is. And
so I've heard that before, but I thought that was like it was in a movie, and I thought that was just like a movie line because I've never heard anybody else classify weed as a hallucinogenic before.
it is. I mean, you're not going to get the same effects as like if you
Like
took some
drop
shrooms
acid.
or acid, right? Though I will say that the times I've had edibles, it seems like the hallucinogenic effects are much more prevalent. Like I actually felt kind of like I had taken acid the times that I've had edibles that work. I've tried making my own edibles before, and I guess I made the oils wrong or something. I don't know. It never worked on me before. And the first time I had edibles, the person that gave them to me eats them all the time, and he's like, "You want to eat this amount?" I'm not gonna say who it is, but he's like, "You want to eat this amount, and it'll mess you up." And I ate that amount, and it did nothing at all. And he was like, "Well, eat a little bit more." And so I ate a little bit more, and it did nothing at all. And so I finally ate like 5 times the amount that. And I wonder if this is a metabolism thing. I like,
And then you were just like done.
well, I did it right before going to an airport actually, and I remember sitting in this airport like basically tripping balls, like it was a crazy experience. Another time I've had edibles, right after doing it, I walked like 2 miles because we were like in a city, and that time I didn't eat that many, and it certainly worked a lot better. So that's what makes me think it might be like getting your body to take it in, like a metabolism type thing. Like,
I mean, it makes sense because if you're eating it, it's got to get
right
absorbed into the body somehow.
Right.
And if it's just sitting in your stomach because your metabolism is low, then it's not getting absorbed into your body.
Right. Yeah.
I will say I find it very annoying occasionally you'll come across, and I won't say any names because I got a couple in mind, very popular like YouTubers who get on the topic of drugs and alcohol, and none of them ever, when they start getting into it, they never admit that they've done it before, and they always talk about how a friend told them or a friend told them. And it really pisses me off because if you did it, you can just nobody should ever be mad at somebody. Like if you're a 12-year-old watching this video and are like, "Oh my god, like Jeff was a smoker or Guude smoked weed," I don't think that's the impression that you should have. People are going to learn their own ways, and I'm not telling you to like for some reason hire a worker on accident. People are going to learn their own ways, but part of the discussing this stuff is it because we have experience in this stuff to say whether something's bad or good. And I hate people who try to talk about experience but don't admit that they've done something wrong because they don't want to have a bad stigma associated with them. That stuff really pisses me off.
I think some of it might be fear of legality. Like, I mean, if something's illegal in your state and you still do it, I could see the worry of like, I mean, kind of like, Snoop Dogg, for a long time, like his van would get searched, or Willie Nelson, like his van searched anytime the police were around because they knew they were probably going to find some illegal drugs. And so I guess I can kind of understand. I mean, in my earlier videos, I still smoked pot, and before my daughter was born, and so there were videos that I was high in, and I didn't talk about it back then because technically the police could come busting up in my house and arrest me because I had this plant in my house.
So what you're telling me is all these YouTubers I'm talking about, they're still smoking it.
Probably.
So anybody who admits it are people who don't smoke it anymore.
Probably.
don't do those bad things
Right.
anymore.
Right. I have no fear of the police busting down my door anymore. Yeah. I basically what I'll say is the difference between smoking it and eating it, the effects are way different. And yeah, I don't think it should be illegal. I don't think anything should be illegal though, as far as drugs.
I agree with you on that front. Actually, I completely agree. If people want to do, I was talking to somebody, and this is a completely different type of topic, but I was talking to somebody last night at the fire station about why I think prostitution should be legal. And I don't understand why, for one, there's a whole regulation that you can do in that case to make things safer that people are going to do anyway. If people are prostitutes, that's why there's laws against it, is because people do it and have done it in the past. But you got places like Las Vegas who has legal prostitution, maybe outside of Las Vegas,
not actually
outside
in
of the
Vegas.
general area, but but they have this whole industry is required for testing. There's like employee benefits type of deal. Like you can do a lot of positive things with it, but also at the same time, if you want to go drop heroin, I don't know if you drop heroin. I don't
know how you actually. Isn't that injected? I think it's injected.
Yeah, heroin is injected. I kind of realized there was a problem with my statement when I said that.
But can't you smoke it too? I think you can smoke it.
Like is heroin crack?
No.
The exact same thing?
No. Heroin.
Crack's cocaine. Sorry, because you always you're talking about smoking crack. I don't know how heroin is done. I know you can inject heroin. I don't know if there's other ways that you can do.
Right. Yeah,
heroin.
I've definitely never done heroin.
But I've dealt with so many people in the emergency department and all who have done so many different types of ridiculous drugs, and people come in completely OD'd and fucked up on crazy off the wall things, ranging from the homeless people to the guy from Capitol Hill who just got out of session with Congress. People do this stuff, and yes, occasionally there's problems that happen. There's problems that happen with everything that somebody's going to do. Somebody's going to come in because they overwork themselves exercising as well. Because I know people's initial thought is going to be, well, obviously that should be illegal for a reason. You're seeing people in the emergency department. Yeah, like I said, people come in because they hurt themselves doing CrossFit, or they overexerted themselves doing CrossFit and are now having a nervous breakdown. Does that mean CrossFit's a bad thing? That's a whole different story on whether CrossFit's actually a bad thing or not, because CrossFit is weird and different. But yeah, the point is, I don't think anything should be illegal either. In a way, it's kind of like, and this is callous of me to say, but it's survival of the fittest.
Right.
If you want to do something illegal that is a known danger, and you can't tell me if you're, snorting cocaine or injecting crack or heroin or whatever it is you do on all these drugs, you can't tell me you didn't know that there was a danger involved in it.
Right. I mean, that's why I've never tried drugs that you could overdose on, basically. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I have taken acid a couple of times, and I've eaten shrooms once. But yeah, that was like very small amounts, and I was actually very afraid.
Was the paranoia, or was this?
No. The experience was fantastic, actually. Just to be honest.
By the way, we do not condone the use of drugs.
No, I don't. I mean, yeah, I recommend. I mean, I was lucky to have parents that were willing to make sure I was safe in these occasions. In fact, at one point, my mom offered to smoke pot with me. I was already smoking pot at that time because the whole dad part, but she didn't know that. And she was like, "Would you like to try it?" And I was like, "No, I'm good, thanks. No, we'll try it. Drugs are bad." But I think everyone goes to a part in their time in their life where they're going to experiment with things and try things. And I guess the important part is to try to be somewhere safe. Acid is a scary thing. Like I don't know if I would ever do it again, because it was pretty scary for sure. Because you're basically out of your mind for like 10 hours, and you several times wonder if it's ever going to end. Like the first time was definitely the scariest, because often it was like, is this experience ever going to end? Is this am I stuck like this forever? I'm insane. So yeah, acid was, but it was mostly just giggling. I was with a friend, a real good friend of mine, and we just laughed the whole time for hours and hours, and that was it.
But you're also obviously under the impression, because you're the one who stated that in the first place, that nothing should be really illegal. Nothing
right.
illegal.
And I feel like you would have safer versions of everything if it wasn't illegal. I feel like a lot of the illegal, I mean, even like we were talking about prostitution, the concerns like prostitution. Let's say prostitution in my state where it isn't legal. I would just assume I'm going to catch every disease known to man if I slept with a prostitute. But I feel like if you slept with a prostitute in a state where it's regulated by the state, you know that it's a clean prostitute, because that's their job, and they got the healthcare benefits and all the other things.
Well, but I wouldn't want people to quote unquote know it's a clean prostitute, because I think you should also still use protection, because there's always things that slip through the cracks.
I mean, I feel like that you would
things that slip through the cracks.
I feel like it would almost be a requirement that they use protection.
I would guess so. But I guess that would limit necessarily what you could do as a prostitute, though.
What do you need not protection?
I mean, I guess you could use protection for really anything. I'm just trying to think. This would be a little too serious of a video for YouTube. That would get people very upset if we started talking about the specific details of what you could do with and without protection. But like the porn industry, how is that not prostitution?
I guess you're not paying for sex. Like, in fact, they're getting paid, right?
How those the people who are performing in those videos? How is that not getting paid to have sex?
You're not paying for the sex. That's not what you're actually getting paid for.
So wait, it's not illegal then to get paid for sex, but it's illegal to pay for sex?
Yes.
I don't think that's the way it works. I think being a prostitute is illegal as well. Receiving money in exchange for sex. Prostitutes go to jail all the time.
I wonder
Not
if
just the people who order them.
Is it
Or
legal
purchase
in
them.
every state to make porn?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't either. Because if that's the case, and I think I've heard a joke like this before, in fact, that if you're going to hire a prostitute, just bring a camera.
Because then it turns into porn? I mean,
Right.
It makes sense.
Right.
I've never heard the joke, but it makes perfect sense.
Because, yeah, then you can basically like, oh, I'm just shooting a porno. Ain't no prostitution going on here.
Did we clean out this entire field of bales?
I believe so.
Oh, you have the baler.
Yeah.
That's why. I was like, I don't remember finishing the field off. I remember you still wrapping. That's why I left it and went and did something else. So I guess, okay, so we are about to change your topics real quick to actually the game at hand back here. That guy's almost done with the topper. I guess almost is a relative term. But you said that this thing is like terrible, right?
It is the worst experience. So,
I'm gonna get this thing.
Viewers should know that I played in between to try to get us some money, and I decided to sell the potatoes once. And yes, it is the worst experience I've had in this game. You're in for a treat of selling potatoes.
What this thing? It's 18% full already. You just line it up and hire a worker, and he'll do it for you, or did you do it yourself?
The potato harvesting?
Yeah.
Oh, you definitely want to use a worker. But let me see. Are you in it right now?
Yeah.
All right. Let me tell you where you need to line it up at.
Is it a really specific spot?
Well,
corner-wise, right? Corner to corner on the field.
Let's see. Where are you at? Are you on it now? I'd start on this side over here, the opposite side.
I can't because he's still topping.
Oh, that's where. Okay, that's fine. So it does not go corner to corner. The only part that actually picks is right here where this conveyor belt is at.
Conveyor belt is at. So right here, okay.
Yeah, it's basically 2 things wide, 2 rows wide.
Am I gonna miss one? Where am I lined up now? Then.
I feel like you're good actually.
Let me just hit the H button and see what happens.
Yeah, I think you're good.
Oh man, that is a very narrow swath.
Yep. And
Look at those potatoes!
He's gonna do about 2 of those, and it's gonna be full.
Jesus Christ.
What's inside of here? Oh, wheat. Okay.
Yeah, because I emptied the. I kind of keep getting tab, even though I'm not supposed to. I got into the bad habit of doing that.
What game are you playing?
Well, I mean, just in this game, like when we have a lot of tractors like right around the main area, tabbing into them is easier than getting out of one and into the other. But I try not to tab to like fields because I want it to be a little bit more realistic.
Right.
But then by habit, I'm just like, oh, tab gets me to the next tractor.
Like I was playing a game, I think it was Portal Knights. I can't remember which game it was. But it was some game I was playing when we first started this, and tab was used during the game, and so I kept hitting tab because it was how you opened your inventory in that game. And so yeah, I got in the habit of hitting tab and for another game, and it was messing me up in this game. It was really annoying.
Where did I drop off that tipper at?
So I really want to buy the other truck.
It would probably help us.
Well, yeah, because this thing is so damn slow. What does it cost? I think it's 56,000.
Are you in the truck right now?
I am.
Oh, that's why I can't find it. I was like, where the fuck did this truck go?
Yeah, it's 54,000. So we need to sell some stuff.
I say that you picked up all the straw. Should we just sell this straw?
I think so. I think we should get all that shit out of the way.
Yeah, I had moved it all to the center because I wasn't sure what we wanted to do with it, but it is very nice to have another tractor.
Yeah. Yeah, it was needed.
Oops.
I thought he could get this whole thing into... Did you empty it early, or did this just...
No, I emptied it once already. That's why I had weed in it.
Yeah, no, I meant did you empty it before he was full?
No, he was stopped and not doing anything when I emptied it.
Maybe it's the barley that you can get in just 2 things.
We should actually already be getting this guy doing grass again, it seems.
Yeah. Hasn't grown completely, but yeah.
Whoa. I just lagged out.
Like completely out of the game?
No, I can actually move my tractor, but I can't unload this thing anymore.
Huh.
Oh, okay, never mind. It only lifted halfway, and it kind of got stuck. So I don't know what happened, but it just unloaded. So it's good. But yeah, I really do want to understand now where porn industry is able to be done.
I feel like you can do it in any state.
I would also think that, but I guess I'm not a licensed porn guy.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure.
I don't have the casting couch in my basement, so I'm really not 100% certain. But yeah, I don't understand. Like, I want to know who also. Where do you think the illegality of prostitution came from?
What do you mean?
I'd have to think like somebody was having sex for money and somebody else was pissed off about it. Do you think it was like some guy who was making the laws of the land back in the day? His like wife or significant other was like banging dudes on the side for money, and he was like, "I'll put an end to this."
I feel like it was a health and safety issue, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
You think prostitution only became illegal once health and safety, like people cared about health and safety? And you think porn was illegal before like AIDS?
No, not AIDS, but like syphilis and those sort of things.
Okay, when was syphilis major outbreak? Was that like the 50s? When they used to think that like silver bullet and all would
Silver bullet
cure everything. They used to call it the silver bullet was the cure for syphilis. And what the hell was the silver bullet?
I've never heard about this.
What it is? Hold on. Look it up. Silver bullet cure for syphilis. I think I'm thinking of the right disease. Oh yeah, here we go. The silver bullet or magic bullet is the perfect drug to cure a disease with no danger of side effects. The magic bullet was first used in the sense of the German scientist Yeah, it was used to treat syphilis. I guess it was called the magic bullet, but it's now coined as the silver bullet. What the hell was it though? I'm trying to remember. In general, magic solution, any vaccine. No, this doesn't say what it was. It was basically something that people used to go to these like syphilis, clinics or whatever. They like quarantine them in this hotel and give everybody this like silver bullet or magic bullet drug concoction that was like causing a lot of problems as well with these people. But it was supposedly curing syphilis when it really wasn't curing syphilis.
Oh, it wasn't?
I don't think so. I think it might have been, but it had like a lot more side effects than they ever thought that it was going to have.
Huh.
It's not what they use today for syphilis.
What do they do? What's the cure now?
I don't even know, actually. Because syphilis is viral, right?
I don't know. I've never had an STD. And I hope to keep it that way.
Syphilis. Yeah, I never have either. Well, I guess it define what an STD is. Because there's many diseases you can get that can be transmitted sexually.
Any of those.
But they also can be transmitted non-sexually.
Like what? Like
so
mono?
that's where you gotta make. Are you talking about the classic definition of STD?
I mean, yeah, I've never caught anything by having sex with someone.
Cure.
I guess is
because you gotta remember, like HIV is something that is traditionally thought of as an STD, but you can get it from non-sexually related activity as well. So just because you have it's what?
I said that would suck, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, if you got like a blood transfusion because you had a procedure and needed a blood transfusion, and all of a sudden you had HIV, yeah, that would be terrible. But HIV is so treatable, and now it's so manageable that it's really not a big deal anymore. And I say
really
that
true?
Yeah. Yes. It's weird to think about because, like, we're in the hospital. A lot of the population here in DC, DC's got a very large HIV population because it's mainly transmitted, like, homosexuals are. It sounds so weird to say that. It sounds like derogatory saying that, but it's a homosexual transmitted disease. Very commonly, that's the way it's transmitted. So in the gay populations, HIV is big. I think it's because for man to woman type of deal, like it's very hard. It has to be absorbed to get it. I can't say it has to be, but that's like the main way that it's done is through absorption, quote unquote. And think if a man and a woman are having sexual intercourse, who's the one that's absorbing anything?
Doesn't the woman absorb things?
Exactly. But to absorb it and contract a disease from it, he would have to have it too, right?
So why?
How would he get it if he wasn't into homosexual relations? Was the thought process like a long time ago? Granted, it's very true because the absorption is a huge factor in what makes it easily transmittable. So if you're a male who's not gay, you're likely.
So wait, your penis can't absorb it? Is that what you're saying?
Not nearly as easily as, like, think of what happens in an actual sexual relationship. If you, quote unquote, spread your seed to somebody, they're absorbing a lot of stuff. It's not as easy to contract for a guy from a woman. It's contractable, but not nearly as easily.
Huh.
Because the outside of your penis does not absorb things. It would have to get into your body through the smaller opening that exists.
Okay.
Right. So that's why it was more of a, more in the gay community because, males who are with males, somebody's potentially doing absorbing, quote unquote, and therefore it would get spread that way. So that's why it was like more popular. I mean, more popular is a wrong word to say. More prevalent in that population. That's why it used to be thought of as like a gay-only disease. That's why when you give blood, it asks you're not allowed to give blood if you've had like a gay relationship since like the 70s or something like that. The questionnaire that you take.
It's so weird.
It is very weird, but it's because of that risk for HIV. However, now this all was started because Washington D.C.'s got a very big gay population. So I've dealt with a lot of individuals who are HIV positive, and it's such a like nothing thing now in comparison because it's so easy to manage with medications that people don't die after 10 years anymore. They live for 20, 30, 40, 50 years with HIV as long as they stick to their drug regimen.
Huh. So it doesn't lower your white blood cell count like it used to?
If it's untreated, it does, but they take a lot of like HIV medications to help prevent that.
Huh.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of like technology, quote unquote technology in the whole like medication realm and treatment of diseases like that. We'll get there one day for cancer. I'm pretty confident. We don't know enough about it yet. And that's the thing is why HIV was such a devastating thing when it first came out. We didn't know enough about it. They didn't know what it did. They just knew people got this thing and they died.
Right.
Or they got really sick, like in the more and more studies that have been done. Granted, it's still a very debilitating and horrible disease for people to have because everybody doesn't respond to the treatment as well as they could. So there's some people, I'm sure, with it who are like, oh, this guy's full of shit. But there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, I've been, living with this disease for 30 years and it's never really affected me in any negative way.
Wow. Huh. Well, on that note, we're kind of out of time, but I do want to say that fertilizing this does make a big difference. I am getting half as much for sure.
Oh, from the grass right now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't fertilize this run.
No. But, you know, with it just letting it grow like that, it's kind of not a big deal, I guess, because it's just growing, right? It's just always more grass.
Yeah, that's true.
So
All right, guys.
Replant it. But, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.
See you next time.